Everything in the Gospels leads up to the final week of Jesus' life. The writers slow down and pay careful attention to each day, each moment, every interaction. It begins with Christ's triumphant entry into the holy city. While there, the crowds witnessed bold teaching and rising tension, anointing rituals, and a sacred meal. Then came prayer, betrayal, his arrest, suffering, and death. And finally, the celebration of Christ's resurrection on Easter. This is a week that changed the world. This is the final week.
Have you ever had a meal that you knew mattered? Not just dinner, not just something quick, but a meal that you could tell something has shifted, something important was about to happen. Maybe it was the meal before someone you loved was about to move, or maybe it was the meal after a holiday, or at a holiday after a loss of someone. But it was a meal where you knew after this, things are not going to be the same. We started our Lenten season by walking into our 6-week journey into Palm Sunday. We began with Palm Sunday, and we've been walking with Jesus every day of that final week as Jesus is making his way to the cross. And so we began on Palm Sunday, and we started by asking ourselves the question, is as we saw Jesus enter into Jerusalem riding in on a donkey, will we receive him as our king? This man humbling himself on a donkey and the shouts of Hosanna, will we receive him as king? And then we walked into Monday asking ourselves, are we bearing fruit? And as we took a look at the fig tree, and we asked ourselves, do we bear fruit? Or whose image do we bear? We looked at the coin, do we have are we a reflection of God? Tuesday we asked, is our faith real on the inside? After we heard from Jesus as he was saying, woe to you, woe to you. Is our faith real on the inside? And then last week, Wednesday, we asked, are we caring for the least of these? What is our relationship with the least of these? This has been our journey each day from Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, which brings us to today, Thursday. We start at Matthew 26, verses 1 through 2, where Jesus says, when Jesus had finished saying all these things, he said to his disciples, you know that after 2 days the Passover is coming, and the Son of Man will be handed over to be crucified. Jesus is turning a page. Jesus is effectively saying, hey, we are out of time. There is no more time. No more teaching. The Passover is coming. As soon as the Passover comes, so will my death. This is Thursday. And it's known as Maundy Thursday, which comes from this Latin word mandata, meaning mandate, a new commandment, because what we're going to discover is everything shifts on this night. All the noise of the week, the volume, it drops. The crowds disappear. The Pharisees go one way, and others in the crowd, they move in another direction. And Jesus and his disciples, they too move across town. The setting moves from being public, this public confrontation, and it moves to a private table. But make no mistake, though what we are about to experience is private, what happens here is just as disruptive as anything else. So Jesus says, after 2 days, the Passover is coming and the Son of Man will be handed over to be crucified. We walk into verse 3. Hear these words. Then the chief priests and the elders of the people gathered in the courtyard of the high priest, who was called Caiaphas, and they conspired to arrest Jesus by stealth and kill him. But they said, not during the festival, or there may be a riot among the people. And so they set in motion. The high priests and the elders, they gather up in Caiaphas' home, which would have been up and elevated. They gathered up here and they start to kind of plot. Okay, how are we taking him out? But oh wait, we got to pay attention to the timing, because timing is everything, right? And while they are doing this, Jesus and his disciples too are traveling across town, but they make their way to Bethany. Verse 6. Now, while Jesus was at Bethany, in the house of Simon the leper, a woman came to him with an alabaster jar of very costly ointment, and she poured it on his head as he sat at the table. So Jesus goes to Bethany. And he goes to this man named Simon, Simon the leper. He doesn't go to the high place where they're all up here and elevated. No, Jesus goes to Simon the leper, which means he has a disease. He is one of the least of these. And remember, Jesus just told his disciples, as the Passover comes, so will my death. And so Jesus knows timing is everything because I am out of time. And so I am choosing to go spend my time with the least of these, in the home of the least of these. And then we read that this woman appears and comes in and anoints his head with oil. Now in Matthew's gospel, we get zero details about this woman. We don't have a name. We don't know why she's there. We don't know where she came from. The other gospels give some descriptions. They call her an immoral woman or a sinful woman. Some other gospel alludes to it being Mary, the sister of Lazarus. But here in Matthew, we get nothing other than she is carrying an expensive jar of oil. And she walks into this place and she breaks the jar and she pours it over Jesus' head. Not just his hands or his head. No, she pours it over his head. A week's worth of wages. She anoints him with oil. And Jesus answers the why at verse 12. Jesus says, by pouring this ointment on my body, she has prepared me for burial. Truly I tell you, wherever this good news is proclaimed in the whole world, what she has done will be told in remembrance of her. He was prepared. This woman poured oil over his head, preparing him for death. Because Jesus is walking in the valley of the shadow of death. He knows what's coming. But he says, truly, I tell you, what she has done, what has just happened here, that she showed up, we are going to tell her story. She has offered comfort. She is loving me. She knows what's about to happen. She is preparing me for my death. Now you would think, all of this, Jesus modeling all of this journey from Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, going into Simon the leper, the least of these homes, and watching this moment and what all the words that Jesus has just said about what's going to happen, where he's going, you would think the disciples would be in awe of this moment. But that's not what happens. No, as you keep reading in the scriptures, the disciples actually are quite bad. They're irate. How dare this woman waste that oil? Why is she doing this? They're angry with her. And Jesus points out to them, hey, we pay attention. You're missing the point. Disciples, you are focused on the wrong thing. Disciples, you're missing it because she knows exactly what she should be doing. She is preparing me. She is anointing me. She is worshiping. She knows that things are shifting. She knows something is happening. She knows that the time is near. Pay attention to what she's doing. She is showing me her love. The disciples missed it. They missed it. They got caught up in all the other things and they missed the point. And how often do we miss the point? How often do we get caught up in all the chaos of all the things that are happening around us and we miss the main thing, right? I've been in ministry for 28 years, and so I've officiated at a lot of weddings. And one of the things that breaks my heart is when I watch brides or grooms or mothers of the bride or whatever, they're paying attention to all of the details, trying to make sure everything is just perfect, that they get so caught up in making the perfection of the day or worried about what's going to go wrong that they miss the day, the joy of the day. Fortunately, I've seen so many brides be so worked up that they miss what's right in front of them. The disciples were not in awe of what was taking place. They didn't see the anointing of what she was doing, tearing his body. No, they missed the main thing. And this leads us to verse 17. On the first day of unleavened bread, the disciples came to Jesus saying, "Where do you want us to make the preparations for you to eat the Passover?" So now we have the unleavened bread and the Passover. These are two different events, but we think that they're linked together. So oftentimes we think of them as one, but they're different, but they're linked. And so the Passover commemorates the specific night when God passed over the Israelites, their Israelites' homes that were marked by the lamb's blood during the plague of Egypt, right? God passed over them and they marked their doors. That's Passover. But unleavened bread, well, this memorializes that immediate aftermath when the Israelites fled Egypt. They fled so quickly that their dough didn't have a chance to rise. So all of this is linked together. This is what the high priests were trying to prepare for. We can't do it during the festival. Jesus is saying the Passover, as soon as that happens, I am going to be crucified. So on the first day of the unleavened bread, this festival, the disciples come to Jesus. Where would you like us to prepare our meal? Where should we have Passover, this moment, this remembrance? Where should we honor and remember what God has done for us? Verse 26, while they were eating, the disciples went and prepared the meal. While they were eating, Jesus took a loaf of bread, and after blessing it, he broke it, and he gave it to his disciples, and he said, "Take, eat, this is my body." Then he took a cup, and after giving thanks, he gave it to them, saying, "Drink from it, all of you, for this is my blood of the covenant." Jesus gathers with his disciples to eat, but this is not just any Passover meal. Yes, they recognize it as a meal rooted in memory, a meal about deliverance, a meal about God setting the people free. And understand that the disciples understood this meal. They knew why they were there. They knew the rhythm. They knew the words. They knew what comes next. But then Jesus changed the meal. They knew Passover. This was a meal of remembrance, a meal where they were to tell the story that God heard their cries, God saw their suffering, God delivered them from slavery. Every part of the meal points backwards. Every word reminded them of what God had done, but then Jesus changed it. Instead of pointing to the past, he points to himself. He said the bread is no longer just a reminder of God's provisions in the wilderness. No, the bread is now my body. The cup is no longer a symbol of the covenant made long ago. No, it becomes my blood. Jesus takes a story that has always been told and places himself at the center of it. Jesus changed the meal. But don't miss this. At this table, the familiarity, the intimacy of this meal in this moment, before the cross, before the resurrection, grace is already at work. Jesus is not just explaining something. He's giving himself to them. This is my body. This is my blood. This meal, yes, disciples, this meal was familiar, but I need you to see it differently. I need you to know that I'm changing it. What in your life feels familiar, but God might be trying to give it new meaning? Jesus gave this meal new meaning. And so maybe, just maybe, what feels familiar right now, God is trying to reshape. God might be reshaping something for you. While they were eating, Jesus took the bread. He takes what's familiar. He gives it new meaning. He says, "This is my body, and this is my blood of the new covenant." This isn't just a meal anymore. This is a redefinition. What Jesus is doing at the table is not random. It is the fulfillment of a promise, A new covenant, not written on stone, but written in our lives. Not external obedience, but internal transformation. So let me ask you, where in your life is your faith still external, but hasn't yet made it to your heart? What's external needs to shift to your heart. Where is God inviting your faith to move from something that you do, something that actually changes you? It was the summer where my family began to gather over and over and over again, so much more than we typically did. Because over Mother's Day weekend, we received the news in 2012 that my father had pancreatic cancer. Surgery was not an option. Chemo and radiation was just going to give him time. And so we spent that summer, hoping and praying something would change. But by August, nothing had changed except really my dad's appearance and his physical appearance and his abilities. He was becoming weaker and weaker. And by the end of August, we knew his time was near. So our family just continued to gather, to share as many meals as possible. Now, most meals, Dad was not able to sit at the table, would have to leave the table, or unable to eat, all of those things. But this night, it was a Sunday night, he stayed. He sat at the table. He laughed. We shared stories, and we all knew, my brothers and I, we knew this meal was different. And so we stayed. We weren't moving from that table. Long after the plates had been moved, we wouldn't leave. My brothers and I, we sank back in our old habits, and my baby brother grabbed the deck of cards and began to shuffle them, and we played euchre as a family. And of course, my dad and my brother Brian beat us, but it's all good. But it was the last night that he was able to say words out loud, and 2 days later, he was gone. Meals changed something. We sensed. This meal changed everything. Just days before, Jesus stood in the temple and said, woe to you who look right on the outside but are empty on the inside. Woe to those who built systems that left people out. Woe to those who miss the heart of God. Woe to those who don't care for the least of these. And Jesus, just yesterday, he spoke about the end, that I'm not going to give you a timeline, but I just want you to care for and understand your faithfulness. And faithfulness is seen in how you live and how you love and how you care for the least of these. Jesus then does something remarkable. He sets a table. And the same Jesus that spoke woe now says, come and take and eat and drink and remember. There's a new movement. Do you see that movement? Conviction is not the end of the story. It reveals truth and exposes what's off. Conviction is not punishment, it's preparation. Just as when Jesus offers warning or he gives directions with his woes, this exposes where we are off or where we're headed in the wrong direction, but it's at the table where Jesus restores. It's the doorway to invitation. And here is what makes this moment even more powerful. Look who's sitting at the table. Peter, who's going to deny him 3 times, is seated at the table. The disciples, who we know are going to scatter, are seated at the table. Judas, who we know is already put into motion, that he's going to betray him. All of these people are at the table, and Jesus knows all this, and still he hands them the bread. He passes them the cup. No one is removed. No one is excluded. No one is told, not you. This is not a table for the worthy. This is a table for the real. This is grace. Grace that meets us before we fix ourselves. Grace that welcomes us as we are, not as we pretend to be, just as Peter and the disciples and Judas were sitting there. This is grace. This is the new movement. This is what changes everything. What would it look like for you to come to the table with honesty, without pretending, without hiding, just as you are? Jesus says, "This is my blood of the covenant, poured out for many for the forgiveness of sins." This is not poetic language. This is Jesus saying, hey, something is about to happen, and it's going to change everything. The old system, where you had to work your way in, you had to prove your worth, you had to check all the boxes, you had to follow all 633 Old Testament laws, but Jesus flips this on its head, just as he did on that Palm Sunday, as he rode in on that donkey, just as he did eating in the sinner's house, just as he did healing on the Sabbath, or tying a towel around his waist and pushing away and saying, "I came to serve others," just as he did allowing that woman to anoint his head with oil. Jesus says, "I will give myself to you. I will make a way." I'm not holding anything back. This is the covenant, a promise, a relationship initiated and sustained by God, not based on our performance, but on his sacrifice. This is grace going first. Before we understand it, before we respond to it, before we get it right, Jesus is already giving himself. This is God making the first move toward us, not waiting for us to come clean, not waiting for us to prove anything, but meeting us right here at the table. Then, verse 30, after the meal is over, says, when they sung the hymn, they went out to the Mount of Olives. They sang a hymn and went out. After everything that Jesus had said, after everything that they know is coming, they sing, because even in the shadow of the cross, there is still hope. That's our truth for today. The table is still set, not just then, but now. Do you believe that the table is really for you?
Come all proud, come all greedy, come all liars, come all shamed, come all wealthy, come receive it. To the table come today. Come all broken, come all needy, come all poor and come all slaves, come all rulers, come be seated, come all sinners, come all saints, come to the table from near and far, come from the shadows, come out of the dark. There's room at the table. We've saved you a seat. Come to the banquet. Come join in the feast. All race and every nation, come all rebels, come all gay. From the fringes, come to Jesus, to a table full of grace. To the table, come and stay. Come to the table. Come eat and drink. There's no inner circle. Come dine with the King. Recline at the table. Come let down your guard. You're never a stranger. accepted. Come now, come. Prepared is the table. We're ready to feast. The body is waiting. There's more still to feed. The harvest is ready. Go fill every seed. Go live out the mission as a kingdom of priests. Go live out the mission as a kingdom of priests.
In our tradition, we believe grace is always moving toward us. Before we even know to look for God, God is already reaching for us. And at this table, we are not initiating anything. We are responding to a grace that is already given. Every time we gather, every time we come forward, every time we hold the bread and cup, we are stepping into Thursday. We are being reminded you don't have to earn your place here. You don't have to have it all together. You don't have to hide your brokenness. This table is for you. So as we come to the table, remember this week. Remember the week that we are walking with Jesus. Remember the cheers that faded. Remember the tension that was built. Remember the words of woe that exposed what was empty. But then remember this. Jesus did not walk away. He sat down and he broke bread. He poured the cup. He invited them in. He invites you. Take and eat and drink and remember. Remember me. This is grace. Given, offered, received again and again